truthfully believe what we've already seen this morning and also what we are going to have for the next hour or two is the worst of this event. With that said, we will still have more snow. That's when we're going to start to also see more lake enhancement and then eventually lake effect snow into tomorrow. That's where we have the increased threat for lingering snowfall in Cuyahoga, Lake Geauga, and Ashtabula. This is in effect till tomorrow at 7 a.m. So we still could have some implications on the roads tomorrow morning as well. We also have, just very quickly, some other alerts to note so we don't forget our friends down to the south here. A flood watch is in effect for Coshocton, Tuscarawas, and Carroll counties. But there's also this huge flood warning for all of the rain that has fallen in the last day, particularly overnight. And the heaviest rain was expected in our southern communities. So that's where there's some ongoing flooding down into Muskingum County. Shout out to my first station ever in Zanesville, Ohio. And then in the meantime, we also have the Killbuck Creek. That is a flood warning until tomorrow at 10 a.m. In the meantime, let's get over to the radar here, get some analysis for you. First things first, the good part of the forecast. That is nice to see. That is an end in sight. I'm going to take off the purple. Those are all the winter weather advisories. Behind it, it's getting lighter in Sandusky. Over in the islands, Toledo, though, we're actually getting a break. I think, as I mentioned, this first batch of snow is going to be around probably till about 1 or 2 o'clock. Eastern communities will linger the longest, of course. That's going to be more around 2 o'clock. And then we'll have a little bit of a lull, but not completely done with the snow. Right now, let's flip over. We're going to look at who's seen the heaviest snowfall at this time. Another really encouraging thing on this radar. We still have these areas of heavy snow in Holmes County, southern Wayne County. This is where you're picking up a ½ inch to even 1 inch of snow per hour. If we actually use this little tool, you can grab and see what it's showing up on the radar. So yeah, about 1 inch per hour, ½ inch. The blue, still snowing, but it's 2 inches for every 3 hours. So a really big difference. But what also is very encouraging about this heavy snow graphic and tool that we have with our radar is that, let's roll it back 6 hours, not even. Here we are at 9 a.m. Look at that area of heavy snow. I mean, it was absolutely huge. It was so widespread, impacting several communities, several counties, just getting blasted with that heavy snow. So as it has continued to push to the east, it's actually weakening a little bit, and you're seeing some of that heaviest snow move away, and it just is weakening. However, there is still snow out there, and across the area, snow-covered roads, ODOT's trying to get out there and clear, but snow-covered roads and also low visibility, that's going to be something we continue to deal with for the rest of the day. Futurecast, we're going to take a look at that next. Sorry, I've been talking all day, so my mouth is a little dry. I might have to take water at times, but this is lining up pretty close, right? This is 11 a.m. We're at 11:23. Widespread snow and an end in sight. By noon, we're starting to see it in our western communities. By the time we get to 1, it's basically the entire western half of our viewing area. Points west from Cleveland, you're already seeing drier conditions, getting a break from the snow, able to clean up the mess that already happened this morning. Then by 2, 3 o'clock, our eastern communities start to get a break. But the problem here, then we start to turn on lake enhancement, lake effect snow. So notice here by 4 or 5 o'clock, right around sunset, we'll have another batch of snow. I think this is going to be a lot lighter snow, resulting in 1, 2 inches of snow for this evening. Lake effect gets going by tonight. So notice after, let's say, 8 p.m. you see multiple bands of potential lake effect snow. I think tomorrow we could have multiple connections to Michigan and also Lake Huron. So we could have that lake effect snow not just in the snow belt tomorrow. There's a potential that we could see it even farther down to the south. And this current Futurecast graphic that I'm on only goes out 14 hours. So let me find my longer one that will take us into Monday. Okay, and I'm going to update it because we get updates on our computer models every few hours. So this one, we just got to update it to the data that came out about mid-morning or so, because I've been using the shorter one all morning long, so I just haven't really touched this graphic too much yet today. Okay, so this one's now going to go out a bit farther in time. And it's going to show very similar conditions to what I just showed you, that by 2 p.m. western community is already starting to dry out. The worst of the snow pushes east by about mid-afternoon, but note that there is still snow flying. I just think the intensity will be lower than what we had this morning. There will still be pockets where it's coming down, especially when you start to get these bands of lake effect snow, like this one that has that Lake Huron connection. You can even see the color differences there. So there's certainly a potential where swells persist, right, is where you could see some of those higher snowfall totals. We're going to continue to have then the threat for lake effect snow through tonight and into tomorrow morning as well. So notice here, tonight doesn't look too bad. That's nice. Here's that Lake Michigan band. You can see it. It's coming off of Lake Michigan. So that means that the more south and western communities get in on that lake effect snow action. So that has been a signal that I have continued to see really since yesterday. So I'm starting to believe it, basically, that there will be that Lake Michigan and Lake Huron connection, plus just plain old lake effect snow. It looks like we'll finally taper off all of the snow by Monday night and into Tuesday, but there's also clearly something else noticeable on this futurecast is that the temperatures, those are air temperatures. So incredibly cold temperatures are also going to be a factor. Snowfall totals, I know I'm sure we're getting a lot of questions about how much snow that you're gonna see and where. Here's my snowfall graphic that I made this morning and I'm still very much in agreement with. I think that down to the south, Canton, New Philly, Coshocton, Holmes County, 2 to 4 inches of snow is certainly likely for you. You get a little bit farther to the north, Worcester, Wayne County, Greene, Akron, Kent, I have you in 3 to 5 inches of snow. I also have areas up to the north and west in Ottawa, Sandusky, Seneca, northern Erie County. I have you in a 3 to 5 inch range as well. Then we go over to the snow belt. And I think that by the end of Monday, there's going to be a possibility of you seeing 4 to 8 inches. This is not unusual for the snow belt, the primary snow belt, notably, to see the highest snowfall totals, and it's almost always eastern Cuyahoga County, southern Lake, northern Geauga, and then it depends on the event, but Ashtabula, we might have to spread that out a little bit farther to the north, but Ashtabula usually getting hit pretty hard as well. Now, areas I want to take the longest on this section because it needs just a little bit more of an explainer. So this dark blue area that includes many of our communities, Cleveland, Strongsville, New London, Ashland, Willard, Norwalk, Mansfield. I have you in 4 to 7 inches. I think truthfully, many of our snowfall totals are going to be in a range of about 2 to 5 inches. However, because of that band of lake effect snow that's expected on Monday, I think that there's going to be some spots. Not everybody in this blue is getting 7 inches of snow. I think it will be isolated, but because of that band of lake effect snow that continues to show up in the data for tomorrow, that's where you could see some of those higher totals, but it won't be everybody. So that's why it just needs a little bit more of an explanation. And it's always important to remember to look at both numbers of the range. People tend to have they tend to look at the higher number. So both 3 through 5 inches is going to be very common. And as I mentioned, once we start getting snow reports from the National Weather Service, I think many of us are going to end up with that 2 to 5 inch range. So here's our snowfall totals. And I'll do one more summary before we wrap up of just everything we talked about. I'm taking my time right now. Then we'll kind of just do a standard forecast that you see on TV and go through it pretty quickly. Because there's one thing that, frankly, because I have a tighter time in the newscast, that I wasn't able to hit really hard, in my opinion, the wind. The wind component that we're going to be dealing with later tonight is certainly significant and impactful. So wind speeds are already fairly breezy out there, but they're going to worsen throughout the day. We're expecting gusts over 35 miles per hour. Sorry, this graphic takes a minute to load. Over 35 miles per hour tonight and into tomorrow. So a couple things about this. One, it could cause blowing and drifting snow, increased lowered visibility when we still already have snow falling out of the sky. Then you're seeing the snow that's already on the ground get whipped around and lower the visibility. But also, it'll make it feel colder than it actually is. And it will be brutally cold. And we don't have any cold weather alerts, but this is what we are expecting. Wind chill values falling into the single digits by tonight. Then overnight, early tomorrow for President's Day, perhaps slipping sub-zero for a couple of hours. But even the air temperatures are not great the rest of this week. I don't know about you. I love all 4 seasons, but I really am. It's been a long winter. It's been incredibly active, and the meteorological side of me loves it. But as a human and a person, I'm ready for spring, and we're not getting that at all this week. We have temperatures only in the teens I just poked my eye out. We had temperatures only in the teens for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 21 degrees on Thursday. And honestly, I'll tell you this too, a little side note that I really didn't get to this morning. Thursday, Friday, I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what's going to happen. There is a chance for snow, but it is not a guarantee. So that is one that sometimes I almost feel like there's always a day or two in a 7-day forecast, an extended forecast, that I'm just not convinced on. And that's just the reality of it. We start to get better data the closer our system gets to us. So it's no possible, basically, for the end of the week. But it does look like we'll start to warm things up a bit by the end of the week. All right, I'm going to take a sip of water, and we'll do a quick little recap, and I'll go through the comments after the video and try to answer anything that I didn't hear, but this is just a quick overview of everything. All right. Okay, one more look at radar, futurecast, current, and how much snow we're expecting to see. So we'll start with radar. It's really encouraging to see here that the heavy snow is actually starting to, first off, the coverage is going down, and it's just weakening as a whole. You're seeing now 2 inches for every 3 hours. A couple of hours ago, we were seeing 1 to even 2 inches per hour for the snowfall rate. And that was really on our western side. So from basically 7 a.m., and look how it expanded. I mean, very impressive snowfall rates. But as it has continued to push to the east, it's weakening a little bit, and you're not seeing nearly as heavy of snow, which is good. It's still snowing out there, and the road crews are going to be doing a lot of catch up to get out there and clear what has already fallen and just wreaked havoc on the area earlier today. So that's just one tool of our radar. But now everybody is seeing snow. Every single one of our communities. Youngstown's hanging on, and then down way to our south and east still has some rain. But generally speaking, we are all seeing snow now. But look at that. Out to the west, we are already starting to see a little bit of a drying trend, which I do expect to happen. Gradually, we're going to see a push of the snow that we're dealing with right now, to the east. But we're not done with the snow. We'll start to get some lake enhancement and then lake effect, which they are separate. So what we're seeing right now is thanks to a huge low pressure. It was impacting Canada all the way to Texas yesterday, and it's pushing to the east. So you're getting this wave from a system, but because we have this body of water there, eventually you'll start to see lake enhancement first, and that's just due to the system pushing through, and then it just becomes standard, the lake effect, which is all about wind direction, how it's facing over the lake, and the strength of the wind speeds. There's so many components to lake effect. So when we look at this first batch of snow, you're getting a push of this first wave of low pressure snow. Then it becomes more of a lake enhancement, and then lake effect, where you have multi-bands of lake effect snow for tonight. Really more this evening, because overnight doesn't look too shabby. It actually looks like we might get a little bit of a break before kicking back up more lake effect that potentially could. Look how far down to the south this is, and that's because it's actually coming off of Lake Michigan. So we'll also be paying attention to Lake Huron up to the north here. That is going to be impacting more Erie, Pennsylvania, Ashtabula, and then we just have Lake Erie's lake effect as well for Monday. So we're kind of getting hit with a trifecta of several of the Great Lakes. And you can see that into President's Day, brutally cold temperatures, wind chill values sub-zero potentially tomorrow morning for some of us, and it looks like the snow will finally come to an end, lingering the longest in the snow belt, a primary snow belt that is, by Monday in the evening, and Tuesday looks much drier, and it's going to be an incredibly cold week. The snow there's been multiple accidents reported. I'm personally not looking forward to my drive home on the east side in a couple of hours here. If you don't have to go anywhere, I urge you not to. I understand if you do. I'm a perfect example of that. Just be sure to give yourself extra time, extra patience, and especially as low visibility could be lowered at times throughout the day thanks to those strong winds and the snow that will continue to fall. The entire Power 5 weather team is on this. We've been texting all morning long. News 5 is on it as well. We're going to have several updates for you. We have articles on our website on news5cleveland.com, and also we'll then be back on air tonight at 6 and 11. Phil Seiko will be here at that point, and I believe that we're still going to be covering, especially we're going to kind of let the weather tell the story here, and we'll be in Storm Tracker again, especially because we still will have that snow. I hope you all stay safe, and warm, and we'll be giving you more updates throughout the day.